Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Slimefun with Boomer. So we've made some changes to the base. We now have this set up with 36 potato farms, and we did have it up and running and testing it to make sure that everything worked as I had last explained, and it did. Then I started having some fall-offs, and I started noticing some of them stopped working for a little bit, and then even more and more, and what I realized is 36 food growth accelerators or crop growth accelerators need roughly 1.4 million joules per second. I'm sorry, did the math wrong. This is why you never do math on camera. It takes, I believe it's 40 joules per second per accelerator. So it was 1.1440 joules per second, whatever. Anyways, I wasn't quite set up to handle that. So I went through and I upgraded all the capacitors to the carbonata level and went back and changed the generators to energized and just to get it balanced out. So once I got everything back up and running power-wise, then we started seeing that the 5 carbonata furnaces I had were backed up. So we upped it to 10. Then I saw that the 5 composters I had were backed up. We upped that to 10. That eventually cleared down, and I think the number might settle in around 8. We'll have to see. Moved everything over, let it run for a few minutes, and for about 2 minutes everything worked as intended, except for one minor problem. While we were producing a lot of bone meal, it still was not nearly enough to keep up with the 8 tree farms. And so here's the thinking. I went with birch simply because, and I could have done single spruce or single jungle, it was the easiest to farm and didn't have to worry about oversized oak or acacia going sideways. But with that, meaning as soon as the android cleared out the tree, we needed more bone meal right away. And that created a problem to where I was burning through bone meal so fast. So we're going to do 2 things today. One, we're going to come talk about the Tower of Kabul with all the androids. I had started setting it up to make sure that I had lava available for the androids that need it to keep it running. This is a design I came up with. You can kind of see that unfortunately the androids do become buried. So if I screw something up or they run out of fuel, I will have to dig in there and undo it all to get it in there. And that's probably what's going to happen here in the short term. I may simply break the item interface to get to them because that's an easy place back in. And it's a lot easier than having to replace fuel. I filled all these up with cold blocks, but they've been running and running and running, so I'll have to go back and probably jumpstart the androids back into place. No big deal, I can redo that. So we're going to set this up with 100 androids to start and see how it runs. Assuming it holds its ground, great. And we're going to slowly build up to that over stages because right now 25 androids is well overpowered on cobble for the crucibles to make lava. I'm out of buckets right now and the systems are pretty much full and turned off anyways. So those are the things we're going to start working on. So first thing I'm going to do is get off camera. I'm going to upgrade these. Instead of doing 8 birch, like I said, and getting 7 blocks or 6 blocks, and then asking to fire more bone meal, because with 36 of those farms, we go through an insane amount of organic fertilizer, which means we need an insane amount of tin, which means we need an insane dust farm. And this wasn't keeping up, so I thought, well, I got to double this. But then I got to double my tin production, meaning I need at least 100 gold pans and 100 dust washers, probably 200 gold pans and 100 dust washers. That seemed crazy. So instead, we're going to upgrade these all to the 2x2 spruce. That way we don't have the funny branched off wood, and the android will take a whole lot longer to chop down the tree. It will get more wood out of every bone meal cycle, and the bone meal will only need to be done probably about 1/8 of the amount of time, which means, in theory, this farm should be able to keep up. So let me get these farms upgraded and I'll be right back. All right, guys, so we've got the farms built. We now have our giant wall of spruce. We discovered a couple of new things in this process that were challenges to overcome. First, 2x2 spruce not only have to have the 2x2 at the bottom, of course, but they need one block around it, essentially a 4x4 area. One of the challenges I was trying to overcome that happens on occasion when you have a 2x2 spruce and you hit with bone meal, just like any other tree, it doesn't always grow right away. We're currently hitting it with 8 bone meal, and occasionally a couple wouldn't grow. So what I tried to do to help that process was add a second dispenser of bone meal to it. What ended up happening was, because it was on the same block as the spruce and within one block of the saplings, they weren't growing. So there is still that slight risk that we might not have the tree grow 100% of the time, probably 95% right now, which is okay. Because even once it's at stage 1, eventually it'll grow and kick in. Now we've got the farm going. You can clearly see we've got all 36 plants. They're all getting hit by the crop growth accelerators. We also discovered something else about the wood cutting androids. In every other android so far that I've used, and which is pretty much every one of them, the android, when you give it a command, it does it once and moves to the next command. So my thought was, well, like for example, on the miner, it would break a cobblestone block, go to the next command, break a cobblestone block. So I set up the script to push items, pull fuel, and then chop until you're done. I thought every chop of the tree was one command. It turns out each tree is the equivalent of one command, because here's what's happening, is the interface is filling up. I can't even get the items out fast enough. I can run Robin to speed that up a little bit. You can see they're all filling up even. These things are so quick. I've got 2 carbon furnaces going here. They can't keep up because I have 1 carbon press. So I really need to revamp this whole process. I'm probably looking at 4 carbon furnaces, 4 carbon presses at a minimum to keep up with this. But the bone meal problem, the reason why we had to redesign all this, seems to be fixed. If I can get in there. I have full dispensers of bone meal. As a matter of fact, I have so much bone meal that realistically, I might be able to take out 2 rows of this farm. And here's the reason why I'm thinking of doing it. I filled up 5 double chests of organic fertilizer not even 5 minutes ago, and 3.5 are empty. If I can get in here and see that all of my dispensers are full with bone meal, then clearly I'm producing too much potato. Now, granted, we aren't producing the food and the fertilizer yet. Okay, so not quite full there, but that's all right. Once that production is in place, then I can go back and reevaluate and say, okay, what if we take out 1 row of farms? Or what if we take out 2? So you can see they're not quite there. So here's what was happening then. You can see these things are going full steam. And they're all backed up. Except for that one, I guess. Well, maybe that one needs a little bit more too. So there might be one of these still not on run. Oh, okay, so they're starting to catch up. So 10 clearly is enough. We just need to make sure that these are all on round robin. Yep. Okay. So that's a good sign. So these will keep going. Whoops. What about these? Are these all full? So what it's looking like is the 10 furnaces here are not keeping up. It appears that they're backlogged, but the 10 composters are okay. There's just a couple that are a little bit fuller than others. See, so clearly 10's enough. But I think we need to go to 15 furnaces to make the baked potatoes. So anyways, so we're going to add 5 more furnaces here. We're going to leave this alone. We're going to add 2 more carbon auto furnaces, we're going to add 3 more carbon presses. We'll add another electric press. And I'm pretty confident I can take out at least one of these rows. So we've pretty much got this farm, the tree farm, balanced out, problem resolved there. We'll run 4 and see what happens. Right now we have enough cobble generating to keep this going, so I'm going to hold off on completing this until we get the dust farms up and running. We need to see if we can produce enough tin. And so that's going to be the goal in the next episode. This is going to be just kind of a little bit shorter. I wanted to give you an idea of where we're sitting. I want to get this balanced out. So I'm going to play with this, and then I'll come back and get another episode up for you guys with them completely balanced. We'll still hold off on this because I want to talk about this some more in depth and how we have to set these up. And you can see clearly for the dust farms, I'm going to need all 100. So we'll get those going in a little bit. But I want to thank you guys for watching. Remember to go Boomer or go home. We'll see you later.